Part 25. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 241. Just at dawn, a fishing boat was heading towards the high seas at full speed. Zhang Guishan, what do you want? Let Chenzi go first. Chen Shuisheng looked at Zhang Guishan angrily. He never expected that his men would betray him one by one despite the foolproof plan. Zhang Guishan, I can't kill you. It's because I'm useless. It has nothing to do with my son. Zhang Guishan winked at his younger brothers, who dragged Chenzi, who was only in his underwear, out of the bucket and threw him on the deck. Seeing his own son being tortured like this, Chen Shuisheng was extremely anxious. Shenzi, how are you? Zhang Guishan, you are really vicious. You grew up together. Zhang Guishan sneered, you want to kill me? If it weren't for Qingye, I would have been fed to the fish by you. Where is the communicator? Chen Shuisheng looked at Zhang Guishan viciously, there is no communicator. What are the coordinates of the gambling ship? Haha, the gambling ship has been on the high seas. If you have the ability, go find it, Chen Shuisheng joked. Zhang Guishan, I might as well tell you that the He family of Hejiang is behind Brother Gui. The reason why I dare to do this business is not without confidence. Chen Shuisheng didn't care about Zhang Guishan's threat at all. The He family of Hejiang is not someone that anyone dares to provoke. Zhang Guishan smiled, squatted down, and looked at Chen Shuisheng steadily. Ho family in Macau. Do you know why I am so confident and dare to bet on the gambling ship? Because I am behind New World. Chen Shuisheng was stunned for a moment, looking at Zhang Guishan in shock. He never thought that Zhang Guishan was behind the largest force in Hong Kong. Chen Shuisheng lowered his head and was silent for a long time. Haha, Zhang Guishan, you don't know that Miss He is the woman of the boss of New World, right? The reason why Chen Shuisheng is fearless is that he knows this relationship. The gambling ship is covered with this skin, so it dares to act recklessly in the high seas of Hong Kong. Ha ha. Zhang Guishan laughed when he heard Chen Shuisheng's words. Chen Shuisheng. If I tell you about this gambling ship, Qingye doesn't know, will you feel desperate? Zhang Guishan looked at Chen Shuisheng with interest and his face changed drastically. Qingye had told me about this matter. New World didn't know about the gambling boat at all. Some people from the He family came to make trouble secretly under the name of Qingye. Chen Shuisheng's face changed when he heard the word Qingye. Then he realized something. When did you hook up with New World? Haha, if it wasn't Qingye, wouldn't you and your son have played me to death? Zhang Guishan looked at Chen Shuisheng and his son with resentment. Dang! Zhang Guishan threw the dagger on the deck and pointed at Chenzi on the deck and said, hit him. Ming picked up the dagger on the ground and walked quickly to Chenzi. Zhang Guishan, don't. I'll give you all the business, don't hurt Chenzi. Chen Shuisheng knelt down and begged. Where is the communicator? Chen Shuisheng hesitated. He and Agui were brothers who had played together since childhood. Once the communicator was handed over, New World would definitely find the location of the gambling boat. According to the New World style of doing things, Agui would definitely not survive. Hey! I'll tell you. In my teeth. Chen Shuisheng sat down on the deck dejectedly. He couldn't watch his son die in front of him no matter what. Zhang Guishan stretched out his hand, and his younger brother handed him a pair of pliers, and pulled out the tooth with the communicator with great effort. He looked at the tooth in the sun. Haha, Morse code. No wonder the old guy kept mumbling and didn't speak. It turned out that he used his teeth to type Morse code. Guishan, I know I can't survive. I'm telling you a secret. Let Chenzi go. Don't worry, without me, he will definitely not threaten you. Chen Shuisheng has been in the business for so many years, and he knows that he can't survive. Neither Zhang Gishan nor the betrayed he family will let him go. Oh? Tell me, I'll think about it. Chen Shuisheng glanced at Zhang Gishan. Actually, Agui and his men hid a large amount of gold in the sunken ship on the high seas, which is convenient for trading and smuggling. Zhang Gishan's eyes flashed when he heard this. This news made him a little excited. He could bring a large amount of gold to the organization just after joining the New World, and his weight in Qingye's heart would be more important. Speak. Let my son go first. Zhang Gishan raised the fishing gun in his hand, and the fishing gun instantly pierced Chen Shuisheng's head. Chen Shuisheng could never have imagined that Zhang Gishan didn't care about the secret he told. Brother Chen, why don't you wait for him to finish before killing him? Ming asked carefully. Zhang Gishan glanced at Ming. Once I promised not to kill his son, I will definitely do it. I won't raise a tiger to cause trouble, and doesn't the old ghost know the coordinates of the sunken ship? The younger brothers looked at Zhang Gishan with admiration. This boss is really honest and keeps his word. What should we do with Shenzai? I just said, chop him up. Master Qing, this is the gold they smuggled, and there is a communicator in the teeth. Zhang Gishan put the whole box of gold on the ground and said respectfully. Okay, this is a good job. Li Qing looked at Zhang Gishan and smiled. Gishan, you passed my test, from today you are a member of our new world. Li Qing looked at the entry showing loyalty value 80% above Zhang Gishan's head, and was also very happy to accept another powerful general. Zhang Gishan was so excited that he nodded repeatedly. Others looked at Zhang Gishan with envy, knowing that this boy had caught the eye of the boss and had a promising future. Hey, boy, don't say I don't take care of you. When you go to Bolan Street to play in the future, mention my name. Crow said lazily. Okay, brother Crow. Zhang Gishan looked at Crow with a tuft of yellow hair on his head and responded. You can forget it. When you go to Bolan Street, the prostitutes all frown. You are a pure Bolan Street cleaning tiger. Zhang Qiandan laughed. You are being eaten by an old cow. You are a 3-second man. You are being eaten by an old cow. You also eat cabinda bark. You are being eaten by an old cow. Is it over? Zhang Qiandan was defeated, and this became his black history. Seeing the harmonious laughter of several people, Zhang Gishan's eyes flashed with envy. He had never felt such brotherly love since he was a child. Ignoring their quarrels, Li Qing turned to Zhang Qiandan and ordered, Qiandan, take the communicator and check the coordinates of the gambling boat. These people are playing tricks under his nose. Even if he is He Min's half-brother, he will not let him go. Forget it, I will deal with those people after I find the coordinates. Seeing Zhang Gishan, I remembered that the last time he sent Ah Shui, he was asked to be a bodyguard by Gang Shen before he succeeded. It seems that his wife has also learned to be jealous, but he is not very disgusted with this matter. Jealousy proves how important he is in her heart. Old couples also need some romance, don't they? Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Bulletin Liang. Chapter 242. Zhang Qiandan worked as quickly as ever. In less than 2 days, he captured the signal of the gambling ship on the high seas. Reporting non-stop to eldest brother Li Qing. Li Qing immediately decided to take action tonight, and this time he brought Zhang Dongxiu, Wu Wu, Zhang Qiandan, Zhang Gishan, and others. Heading towards the high seas on a smuggling boat. At the same time, a gambling boat drifted with the sea water on the high seas. On the gambling boat, there was a middle-aged and elderly man with grey hair. He was Chen Dingui, the man in charge of the gambling boat, nicknamed Lao Gui. At the same time, he is also the old man of the eldest son of the He family in Hejiang, and has been working under the eldest son He Guang. You haven't contacted Shui Shen yet? The old ghost asked with a frown. There has been no news from Chen Shuisheng for 3 days. He is very worried. After all, They have cooperated for such a long time and usually contact him every 2 days. This time I couldn't contact him, which had never happened before. Brother Gui, is there any accident? The men were also worried. After all, the other party to the transaction has already urged the goods. If the gold is not shipped, future cooperation may be ruined. In particular, this batch of gold also involves the eight-faced Buddha in the golden triangle. If something goes wrong, it will be difficult for the eldest son to explain it. Wait a little longer. If we can't contact you tomorrow, we'll use our own people. Agi thought for a while and said, by the way, are all the punters here? The subordinate nodded, well, we're here. This time it's mainly the second generation from Xiangjiang, Singaporean tycoons and real estate tycoons from Thailand. They have always been cautious about the operation of gambling boats and have not solicited gamblers on a large scale. There are no individual visitors here, most of them are regular customers of Hejiang Casino. The old ghost nodded, okay, be careful. As soon as he finished speaking, he heard a few bang-bang gunshots. Go and see what's going on. The old ghost pulled out a pistol from his purse and ordered. After a moment, his men rushed in hurriedly. Brother Gui, I don't know where the people came from, and they shot at our people without any reason. Many of the brothers outside were killed or injured. The old ghost's expression changed, and he was horrified. Hurry up and prepare the speedboat. Papa, a burst of applause sounded. Don't you realize it's a little late? Brother Gui. Zhang Gishan clapped his hands and walked into the cabin. Then he moved a chair from the side and gently placed it opposite the old ghost. Footsteps sounded, and Li Qing led everyone into the cabin, sat on a chair, and looked at the old ghost without saying a word. The hand holding the cigarette nodded towards the old ghost. Zhang Dongzhou stepped forward, took the gun from the old ghost's hand, and slapped the old ghost on the face. I saw the old ghost spinning, his eyes darkened and he collapsed on the ground. My eldest brother doesn't like you standing. The old ghost's men were so frightened that they quickly fell to the ground with their hands trembling and their heads in their hands. It took a while for the old ghost to recover and look at the man sitting on the chair in front of him. Li Qing saw the look on the old ghost's face and was a little curious. You don't recognize me? Big brother, this is the gambling boat of the He family. Is there any misunderstanding between us? You must know that my uncle-to-be is a talker in the New World. If you have offended something, you should look at the Buddha's face even if you don't look at the monk's face. After hearing what the old ghost said, everyone was stunned for a moment, and then burst out laughing. Even the crow cried tears of laughter. No, I can't bear to laugh anymore. This old ghost is really talking nonsense. Crow covered his stomach and arched his waist with laughter. The old ghost had a sullen face. In the past, when he encountered water bandits, unruly people, etc., he used the name Li Qing of the New World, and the people he met were so scared that they peed their pants. It didn't work this time. Well, don't you believe it? The old ghost's face was ashen and he wanted to pull the tiger's skin again. Li Qing waved his hand, and everyone stopped laughing and became serious. Believe it, of course I believe it. As far as I know, the gambling ship in the New World is called the Century, and it is much bigger than this. Does Li Qing know about this ship you built? Does He Min know? Li Qing looked at the old ghost condescendingly. Of course, Our Lady is in charge of the New World gambling business. Of course she knows about the boat gambling. When the old ghost mentioned He Min, his face became arrogant. My young lady has a keen eye for people and has chosen Li Qing, a big man from Xiangjiang. Her status in Hejiang is extraordinary. He, okay, okay. Crow phone. Stretching out his hand, Crow immediately put the phone in Li Qing's hand. Li Qing dialed a familiar phone number. Beep. The phone only rang twice before the other party answered. Brother Qing, you have been back to Xiangjiang for several days. When will you come to Hejiang? It was on speakerphone, and He-Min's coquettish voice came from the other side. Ahem, I'll go there tomorrow. All the boys looked up at the sky, acting as if I couldn't hear anything. Only Zhang Gishan looked at Li Qing stupidly. He was woken up by the crow's chestnut and quickly raised his head to look at the ceiling. Business matters, Amin. A man named Agi in your family said that you allowed his gambling boat to be on the high seas of Hong Kong. When He-Min heard what was going on, he immediately became serious. Ghost? He seems to be from Da Fang. What kind of gambling boat? I don't know. Isn't ours just a century? It's on the high seas in South Korea right now. He-Min replied doubtfully. The ghost on the ground seemed to have seen a ghost when he heard He-Min's voice, and his eyes almost popped out. Could this person in front of me be? Miss, I am a ghost, help me. Okay, be good, I'll go see you tomorrow. Li Qing smiled and hung up the phone. His face immediately darkened. Okay. Using my name to poach my customers, old man, he is very brave. Son-in-law, listen to my explanation. The eldest son wants to wait for you to come back to discuss this matter with you, but you have been living a small life. The old ghost crawled at Li Qing's feet and kept explaining. Haha, you are called old ghost, and you talk nonsense. Your eldest son didn't tell him. Li Qing said with narrowed eyes. The crow kicked the old ghost away and slapped him. Tell me, where is the hiding place of the gold? I may be able to leave you a whole body. The old ghost smiled bitterly when he heard this. He had long advised the eldest son that it was not easy to take advantage of the new world, but the eldest son was obsessed with it and said that he would support the gambling ship industry in front of the old man. For this reason, he also cooperated with the Thai drug lord Ba Buddha to smuggle gold and make profits from it. The old ghost was silent for a long time, but still did not speak. There was a lot of gold in the sunken ship, which was more valuable than his life. What a loyal servant, Kandan, check if he has any family members, and let them go down to accompany him. Li Qing said in a deep voice. Don't let the family be harmed. The old ghost could no longer hold on after hearing this. He knew that Li Qing would definitely do what he said. The premise is that you say it, as long as you say it, I promise not to touch your family. Li Qing glanced at the old ghost. 19 degrees 30 minutes 24 seconds north latitude, 121 degrees 18 minutes 01 seconds east longitude. After the old ghost said the coordinates, he seemed to have lost his energy and sat on the ground motionless. But in his heart, he was thinking that this batch of gold involved the eight-faced Buddha, which should cause a lot of trouble to Li Qing, and he would also cause him some trouble if he died. Gishan, send him on his way and leave his body intact. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 243. Li Qing smoked a cigarette and stood on the deck, looking at the red life-saving floats that kept floating on the sea. A floating ball represents a small box of gold nuggets, densely packed on the sea. A group of boys wearing diving suits continued to dive, and some of the boys were salvaging boxes on the deck. Poof! Zhang Gishan rushed out of the water in a diving suit and boarded the boat with the help of others. Brother, the sunken ship is full of gold bars. Zhang Gishan looked a little excited. He had never seen so many gold bars in his life. The cabin was covered with metal boxes filled with gold bars. Haha, it seems that the eight-faced Buddha suffered heavy losses this time. Among the drug lords in Southeast Asia, only the eight-faced Buddha trades gold, so the eight-faced Buddha accounts for the majority of the gold here. Although gold maintains its value, to be honest, it is really difficult to hide this thing, and it is difficult to find such a good hiding place. but it was a free advantage for Li Cheng. Brother, John Candon quietly walked up to Li Cheng and whispered. The people on the betting boat, want to. John Candon made a motion of wiping his throat. No one from Higuang was left alive. The gamblers blindfolded them and sent them back to the shore. Li Cheng arranged in a deep voice. These are all regular gamblers, so there is no point in killing them here. It is better to let them go back to promote their own gambling boats. After all, the safety level is here, and entertainment still requires finding a powerful gambling boat. As all the gold was salvaged, Li Cheng and others did not stop and drove their smuggling and gambling boats directly towards the Hejiang River. It was almost early in the morning when Li Cheng came to his love nest with Hemin. He opened the door gently and walked into the bedroom to see Hemin, who had fallen asleep. He smiled and decided to take a shower first. After all, he had some fishy smell on his body. After taking a shower, I slowly went to bed. Hemin felt something strange and screamed in fright. Don't make any noise, it's me. When Hemin saw the person in front of him clearly, he felt relieved and said, Brother Ching, you scared me to death. Didn't you just come tomorrow? After saying that, he got into Li Cheng's arms. I just finished doing something and was very close to Hejiang River, so I came here. If you don't want to, then I'll leave. Li Cheng was joking. He hadn't seen this little girl for a long time and was thinking about it. Don't want. Hemin pestered Li Cheng like an octopus, so Li Cheng simply hugged her and started exercising. 2 hours later, Hemin lay on the bed panting, sweating profusely. Li Cheng joked, I really don't understand, I've always been exercising, okay, why are you sweating so much? Every time she exercised with Hemin, she didn't move much and she did sweat a lot. Hemin glared at him angrily, don't you know women are made of water? My man is really strong, and I have a sensitive constitution. Is it normal to sweat a lot? By the way, Xiao Mi and the small gambling boat on the high seas of Xiangjiang seems to be caused by Higuang from the big house. Does your father know about this? Li Cheng asked with a frown. Brother Ching, my dad has never mentioned this to me, but with his temperament, it is unlikely that he would do such a petty thing. Hemin shook his head. This kind of random thing was definitely not done by his father, but it was most likely Higuang's own initiative. After all, the battle between the heirs of the He family is also fierce. Li Cheng also nodded in agreement. If the gambling king of Hejiang only had this structure, he would not have controlled the gambling industry in Hejiang for so many years. Going to your dad's place tomorrow? Li Cheng said playfully. Hemin rolled his eyes at Li Cheng and nodded his forehead, you're still going? You made him so angry last time that his blood pressure didn't come down for several days. What, hasn't it been so long? It should be fine. In the end, Hemin couldn't resist Li Cheng's big hand and finally agreed to go to He's house for dinner. The next day, the He family. What? Li Cheng came to my place for dinner again. Tell him that I went fishing and was not at home. Old man He's face was livid. When Li Cheng came, nothing good would happen. He was so angry that he almost ended up in the hospital last time. Mad, I'll hide out this time and see what you do. This guy is simply his nemesis. Since meeting him, not only has he lost his daughter, but his property has also been divided, and the governor of Hejiang has ignored him. I was definitely an enemy in my previous life. Haha, old man it's okay if you're not at home. Please arrange for your son Higuang to entertain me. I'm quite interested in him. When old He heard this, he was a little stunned, and then frowned. Li Cheng couldn't mention Higuang for no reason. There must be something that I don't know about. Well, I just remembered that the Eastern Star spot I caught last year is still in the cold storage. Since you are here, I will let them cook it for you. Old man, he said unwillingly. Li Qing hung up the phone without saying anything, but instead teased He Min, Xiao Min, I suspect you are not my biological child. This old man actually let you eat zombie fish. He Min rolled his eyes and muttered to himself, considering Brother Qing's irritating look, the old man would be open-minded even if he didn't poison him. The old man who put down the phone opposite said with a gloomy face, call and ask He Guang to come over. It must have been He Guang, the little beast who provoked Li Qing for some reason. He had suffered a loss last time and was too embarrassed to talk about it at home. This time this blind man is at gunpoint again, I must ask him clearly. Not long after, He Guang received a call from the old housekeeper and hurried to his manor. Daddy, what do you want from me? I'm still busy with other things. He Guang has been unable to contact the old ghost since yesterday and is now anxious. Busy? What are you busy with? Ah, why are you flying all day long? When old man he saw his son's impetuous look, he felt anxious. He couldn't hold his breath and did anything important. Tell me, what exactly did you do? He Guang looked aggrieved and spread his hands. Daddy, I really didn't do anything. Seeing He Guang's stubbornness, old man he said, okay, okay. You didn't do anything, why did Li Qing ask to see you by name? Seeing He Guang drunkenly refusing to acknowledge half the money for a bottle of wine, old man he regretted his trembling. He Guang was stunned, who? Li Qing? He Min's man. Now he understands everything. He said why he couldn't contact the old ghost. It seems that everything he did was discovered by Li Qing. Old man he looked at He Guang's silent expression, and his heart sank. Could it be that this traitor really did something serious? What on earth did you do, old man he asked again. He Guang pondered for a long time, I built a small gambling boat, which has been on the high seas of Xiangjiang and Hejiang. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Bulletin Liang. Chapter 244. Ah! After hearing this, old man he pinched his aching temple and slammed the teacup heavily on the table. The Century has been in the high seas of the two sides of the Taiwan Strait and Hong Kong. We just fill the gap when it is not in Hong Kong. He Guang continued to explain. Alas, it would be so simple. It takes time to build a gambling ship as big as the Century. I can build a small gambling ship anytime I want. Do you know what I don't do? The Century involves 3 top gangs, among which Li Qing has power in Hong Kong, South Korea, Japan, and other places, so the Century can run rampant. This time you are not only touching the cheese of the New World, but also the other 2 top societies. How foolish! He Guang's short-sighted behavior disappointed old man he. My he family doesn't have this little face? Can't even eat some leftovers. He Guang said in disbelief. It seems that I have raised you too comfortably, and you can't even see the situation clearly. Forget it, you apologize to Li Qing today, and I will tell you the rest. Old man he is not as angry as before. This son is useless. At this time, he thought of He Long, who was always ignored by him and left in the United States. He can give him a chance. A trace of unwillingness flashed in He Guang's eyes. Li Qing is nothing, just a gang leader who got lucky. Aren't there enough gang leaders who died? Daddy, in fact, we don't have to be afraid of them. After all, they are some inferior side jobs. As long as the official supports us. Old man he's eyes flashed, how do you know that the official supports us? Uncle he. Shut up. This sentence choked He Guang. Forget it, everything will be discussed after Emin comes back. I hope Li Qing can let you go for Amin's sake. He Guang stammered his lips and didn't dare to say that he cooperated with Bamianfo and others to smuggle gold. Near noon, a Rolls-Royce drove into the He family manor. He Min looked at the familiar environment and felt much more at home. She hadn't been back for a long time. As soon as she came back, the old man kept nagging her, and she was tired of listening to him. At first, he asked her to leave Brother Ching, and then slowly asked her to cooperate. Alas, on one side was her daddy, and on the other side was her man. It was difficult for her to do it. But the two of them were born to be incompatible, and she had no good solution. The two stopped the car and walked into the villa. Li Qing didn't expect that old man he would actually walk to the door to greet him. Li Qing, I haven't seen you for a long time. It's good that you are not missing any limbs. Thank you Mr. He for your concern. I heard that your blood pressure has been unstable recently. Be careful of cerebral hemorrhage. He Min looked at the two helplessly and walked in first. As soon as she entered the door, she saw He Guang looking at her with an awkward expression. Little sister, you are back. He Min looked at him in surprise. This big brother seemed to have never called her sister before, but he didn't expect that he would call her little sister this time. Yes, big brother. She ignored He Guang's hesitation and walked straight in. Li Qing and old man He behind her also walked in with a smile, as if they had not said anything just now. But you can hear what they are whispering from a close distance. You are not young anymore, be careful of a stroke. Li Qing smiled and squeezed out his voice from his teeth. Humph, you are so popular, be careful of being shot in the back. Old man He leaned on his crutches, smiled and whispered. Please. Please. He Guang was stunned on the spot. If he hadn't heard well, he would have thought that the two of them were so harmonious. The host and the guest sat down, and the two stopped the verbal attack. Nephew Li Qing, this is my son He Guang, is this your first time meeting? Old man He took advantage of Li Qing. Li Qing glanced at He Min and didn't feel embarrassed to take advantage of her, but he said that he would let He Min call him dad when he went home. Oh, it's my son. This sentence made He Guang, who was about to say hello, look gloomy and clench his fists. Old He looked at He Guang and didn't say anything. Guang, apologize to your brother Li Qing. Old He was very calculating and wanted to take the matter away in a few words. It was not so easy. Li Qing waved his hand. No, you don't need to call me brother, I recognize He Long. But it's better for others to clarify the relationship. He didn't give any face at all, and directly pointed out that only He Min's compatriots are my brothers, and others who want to establish a relationship are out of the question. Old He was cunning and wanted to solve this matter as a family matter. It was not so easy. Old He's face was not good either. He turned his head and looked at He Min, hoping that she could help to say a few words. Brother Qing, I'll go cut some fruit for you. He Min deliberately avoided his father's gaze and walked towards the kitchen. Old man He was furious. With so many servants at home, do you need to cut fruit? Well, we are all family, there is nothing to be upset about. Li Qing, the old man will apologize to you on his behalf. Old man He had no choice. If he didn't bow his head, he would never get over what He Guang, the rebellious son, did. Mr. He, this matter is not just about the gambling ship. Other big men won't say anything about the gambling ship for my sake. But the fact that your eldest son cooperated with the eight-faced Buddha to smuggle gold is not something that can be explained away in just a few words. Li Qing smiled and looked at He Guang. What? Old man He looked at He Guang in shock. This traitor actually cooperated with the drug lords in the Golden Triangle to smuggle gold. The He family has not been involved in drugs for generations and has not cooperated with drug lords. How dare He Guang? The traitor. The matter between He Guang and the eight-faced Buddha was revealed by Li Qing, and his face turned pale. Guess what they would think if they knew that the He family was cooperating with drug lords? Li Qing looked at old man He playfully. The veins on old man He's forehead were clearly visible. He didn't expect that he had been so careful in recent years that his son would mess up his overall plan. The old man He was so angry that he picked up the crutch in his hand and threw it over hitting He Guang hard on the forehead. He Guang suddenly started bleeding profusely. Roll. Old man, he pointed at He Guang and roared loudly. This time, his blood pressure soared because of his son's anger. He Guang escaped from the villa in embarrassment and quickly had someone drive him to the hospital for bandaging. Old man, he was silent for a long time. I make the decision, and I'll give you that gambling boat. He knew that if he didn't comfort Li Qing, his son would never leave Hejiang. It was originally mine. Li Qing squinted at old man He. If you want to buy He Guang's life with a boat, the He family's is too worthless. The corners of old man He's mouth twitched. Sure enough, this man was still as shameless as before. In this way, half of the property in Dafang will belong to you. Li Qing's eyes moved slightly, but old man He glanced at He Min, who was walking over with fruit. He Min didn't say anything, just handed Li Qing a plucked lychee. Always leave some property for them to live on, old man He asked softly. Okay, in this case, this matter has been revealed. Hearing Li Qing's voice, old man He breathed a sigh of relief. However, what you have to worry about now is not me, but the eight-faced Buddha. Once he knows that He Guang has lost his gold. Haha. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 245. Old man He drank tea, looked up at Li Qing, and said nothing. In his mind, the so-called eight-faced Buddha is just a drug lord from the Golden Triangle. He is just a small warlord. He should not be so bold as to provoke the He family. After all, the He family has been deeply involved in Hejiang over the years and has met many warlords in Southeast Asia. Li Qing didn't have much to do. He knew what the eight-faced Buddha was, but he dared to sneak bulk goods into his own territory. He was not the least bit brave. Li Qing drank tea, ate, and left. This visit to He's manor was full of rewards. As for the trouble He Guang caused, let old He worry about it slowly. It would be best if he was misunderstood. When the license plates are reissued, I can easily get most of them. In addition to half of the gambling boat and big house properties, what satisfied Li Qing the most were the golden gold bars, which could be used as reserves for organizing the next project. You must know that Li Qing has plans for the whole world. Thailand, Bangkok, Makabar. What? You said there was something wrong with that batch of gold. The eight-faced Buddha took out the cigar from his mouth and stared blankly at the men responsible for smuggling gold. Master Ba, I can no longer contact the old ghost. I sent people to the sunken ship, but the gold is gone. The subordinates trembled and looked at the eight-faced Buddha, shrinking their heads, and said, I handed over the business to you, and you told me that the gold was missing. Why didn't you just die? The eight-faced Buddha said angrily. This batch of gold was obtained from flour in the past 2 years. Now that it is gone, he is almost furious. You told me it was foolproof, and the partner was the Hejiang He family. Is this what you mean by foolproof? The eight-faced Buddha pressed the cigar in his hand hard against his subordinate's eyes. His subordinate screamed and fell to the ground, rolling around. The faces of the people around him were solemn, and they glanced at the wailing colleagues on the ground unnaturally. Sorry, drag him down and feed him to the crocodiles. The eight-faced Buddha dropped his half-extinguished cigar. Yes, father. Shali winked, and the 2 younger brothers came out, dragging their struggling men out. Ba, yeah, give me a chance, I will get the gold back. Ba, yeah. The eight-faced Buddha stood up and patted Shali on the shoulder. Shali, I leave this matter to you. No matter what method I use, I must find the gold. The He family? Humph. Drug lords like them don't take the so-called He family seriously at all. At worst, I can hide in the mountains and forests. I have someone with guns and money who will be able to lay down another base sooner or later. Can you find someone to wipe me out once and again? By the way, I'm taking Minna with me this time. This little girl has wanted to go out for a long time. The eight-faced Buddha instructed. Sarith nodded, indicating that he understood. 2 days later, taking advantage of the darkness, a man and a woman came to Hajiang with a few younger brothers. Brother, this is Hajiang. Compared with Bangkok, it's not that good. The girl with long black hair looked around curiously. Mian Na, it's just like the Hajiang River. If you really want to be prosperous, you have to go to the Xiangjiang River. That's where the real international metropolis is. Shali looked at his sister looking curious about the baby and smiled. In fact, although the eight-faced Buddha is cruel to outsiders, he takes his family very seriously. In Chinese, it means being extremely protective. Especially for this youngest daughter, I can't say that I am obedient, but I almost grant everything I ask for. Okay, after we're done, I'll take you to Xiangjiang for a visit. Shali rubbed Minna's head. Brother Shali, we have found out clearly that the person above Lao Gui is He Guang, the eldest son of the He family. He Guang is drinking at the bar now. The younger brother came in a hurry and muttered in Shali's ear for a while. Walk. Shali took the people into the car and rushed towards the bar. In the bar, He Guang was drinking with his friends, and there were also some high-end Yingying Yanyan around him. He Guang's head was wrapped with gauze and there were faint blood stains. He was shouting and gesticulating, obviously he had drunk too much. If my old man hadn't stopped me, I would have killed the New World Casino a long time ago. Do you believe it or not? When the friends heard this, they all smiled and did not even dare to agree. Although this is a bar owned by the He family, Hajiang New World is the dominant force, so there is no guarantee that no New World boy will pass by. If someone accidentally overhears him, He Guang will be fine, but they will suffer. Oh, it's a pity. If you give me a few more years to develop, I may not be able to catch up with Li Cheng. How can I be so good when I'm so good? He Guang took a sip of wine and said regretfully. In the dim light, several other people curled their lips. Everyone knows that New World boss Li Cheng started from scratch and expanded his power to cross strait and 3 places in just a few years. It's a bit shameless for you, an idiot, to compare yourself to others. Haha, Mr. He is drinking. A group of people laughed and started to persuade each other to drink. He Guang also refused to refuse anyone who came. He drank a full glass of wine, hugged the girl next to him and kissed her. Outside the box, 2 bodyguards stood straight outside the door, their eyes constantly scanning the guests coming and going. This is why old man he specially invited him. Even though he said he didn't care about the eight-faced Buddha, he still had to pay attention to the characters that Li Cheng could talk about. Brother Saleh, look at the box where the 2 bodyguards are standing. It's He Guang's box. The younger brother pointed to the box where He Guang was from a distance. Shali looked at it, waved his hand and the younger brothers behind him split into 2 groups, slowly surrounding the box. The 2 bodyguards were very professional, and when they saw something was wrong, they began to put their hands into their clothes. If I were you, I would pretend to faint. A voice sounded in their ears, and they felt the cold barrel of the gun against the back of their heads without turning their heads. The 2 bodyguards looked at each other, threw the guns in their hands, closed their eyes and fainted. Shali laughed, asked someone to pick up the gun on the ground, and walked into the box. The drunken people had not reacted yet. Hey, who are you? Oh. The barrel of the gun was directly stuffed into the mouth of Mr. He. Mr. He, you don't know the eight-faced Buddha, right? Where is our gold? He Guang woke up immediately, and leaked a little urine because of fear. Pointing to the gun in his mouth, Shali took the gun away. He Guang rubbed his cheeks. Are you from the eight-faced Buddha? I didn't take the gold. Do you want to know who took it? I'll tell you. He Guang was a little excited. He knew that Li Qing took all the gold and killed the old ghost who had been the chief minister for many years. It just so happened that the eight-faced Buddha came to ask for the gold this time, so he threw Li Qing out to let them fight each other. Sala also looked at He Guang in confusion. Why did this man look so excited about his coming? Speak. I tell you, the person who took your gold is Li Qing from the New World, go find him quickly. He Guang gloated. But what he was thinking about was the scene of the two sides fighting each other. Emma, I feel excited just thinking about it. I can finally trick Li Qing. Sala was stunned when he heard Li Qing from the New World, and his pupils shrank sharply due to emotional fluctuations. Li Qing from the New World, damn, these people of mine have suffered a lot from the hands of the New World, and in the end, the flower did not enter the territory of the New World. Ahem, sorry, I don't know any Li Qing, I only know that the gold was lost in your hands. Your He family is responsible for this. When He Guang, who was imagining, heard this, the smile on his face disappeared. Ah! He couldn't believe it. He didn't know Li Qing, so why would he believe you? Oh, your head, take it away. This is out of the question. It was Li Qing who took the gold. Shouldn't they go and make trouble for Li Qing? He Guang was kidnapped by the eight-faced Buddha in a daze. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 246. 2 days later, in a village in the jungle of northern Myanmar. He Guang was bored and counted the ants crawling on the ground, and from time to time he scratched the pimples on his body that were bitten by mosquitoes. He didn't know where this place was, but it was definitely not Xiangjiang or Hejiang, because it was so wild, and there were big soldiers carrying axes everywhere outside. I don't know why, but after 2 days of arresting him, I locked him in the house and provided him with water and food as soon as possible. The big robber at least quoted a price and asked the meat ticket to call home and so on. It would be better to do nothing here and just lock him in the house and feed the mosquitoes. In a house not far away, the eight-faced Buddha was chatting with Shali. Who are these people from the He family? They don't care if their own son has been missing for 2 days. The eight-faced Buddha said angrily while smoking a cigar. His original intention was to let the He family contact him proactively. In this way, I can firmly grasp the initiative in my own hands. I didn't expect that there was no news after 2 days. Father, is there a possibility that the He family doesn't know that we kidnapped him? Shali touched his eyebrows and said softly. Impossible, absolutely impossible. Will those 2 bodyguards say anything? The eight-faced Buddha waved his hand. Is there a possibility that the He family has many children? Huh? Then I'll call the He family. The eight-faced Buddha thought for a while and felt that he couldn't wait like this. What if they didn't care about He Guang's life or death, who would he go to? Li Qing didn't even think about it. Now in the New World, anyone with the eight-faced Buddha tattoo will be killed. He was so scared that his younger brothers started tattooing on the soles of their feet. Damn Li Qing, he better never come to the Golden Triangle, otherwise he will never come back. At this time, the big house had been having trouble with old man He for a whole day. At first, I thought He Guang had gone somewhere to play, but he often disappeared for a day or 2 anyway. It wasn't until his bodyguard came to report that He Guang was kidnapped. But old man He was angry and said harshly that he didn't want to deal with He Guang's affairs. Master, no matter what, He Guang is still your son. If you don't care, he will be dead. Old man He said he didn't care, but in fact he had turned Hejiang upside down and made sure that the person was no longer in Hejiang. Now that the other party has not contacted the He family, he is not sure what the other party wants to do. Ding ding ding. The landline next to her rang. The housekeeper answered the phone, his expression changed, and he handed the phone to Old Man He. "Master, phone, kidnapper." Old Man He's eyes narrowed, he pursed his lips, picked up the phone, and said, "Hello. Hello Mr. He, I am the eight-faced Buddha." The eight-faced Buddha said with a smile. "What's up?" Old Man He has a calm demeanor and does not panic at all when facing the kidnappers. The eight-faced Buddha opposite him was stunned for a moment. "Huh? Now I even doubt whether He Guang is your biological son." "You don't have to doubt this, I hope not." The eight-faced Buddha felt that there was nothing to talk about today. This was all about a father-son relationship. It was not normal at all. He covered the microphone and kicked He Guang, who was sitting next to him. "What kind of father are these? Are you still your biological child?" Then he took away the microphone and let He Guang speak. "Daddy, Daddy, save me. They were so cruel. They even made me feed mosquitoes for 2 days. My whole body was covered with mosquitoes." Hearing He Guang's wailing, Old Man He had a black line on his head, mater, and was full of energy. It seemed that he had not suffered much. "The eight-faced Buddha is just asking for money. Just tell me how much it costs." Old Man He sighed. Hearing the other party's submission, the eight-faced Buddha chuckled, "Not much, I just need to get the gold back." The eight-faced Buddha licked his lips. He didn't believe that He Guang's life was not worth the gold. When Old Man He heard about gold, his blood surged. "There is so much gold, where can I get it for you?" Although he didn't know the specific number of gold, it would definitely be no less. "Then I don't care. Anyway, if the gold is lost in your son's hands, you will be responsible." Old Man He took a deep breath and turned his eyes. "As far as I know, the gold is in Li Qing's hands. How about I be a peacemaker and let's sit down and talk?" The eight-faced Buddha curled his lips and kicked He Guang again. The old man opposite him thought he was a fool. "I'm sorry, I don't know Li Qing or Li Hong. I only know that I lost my gold with your son. Return the gold worth 500 million to me in 1 day, and your son will return to Zhao intact. There is no gold, just wait to collect your son's body. I just want gold." Ever since he received a counterfeit US bill 2 years ago, he vowed never to trust paper money again. Only gold cannot fool anyone. The eight-faced Buddha hung up the phone angrily, put him in a small room and continued to feed mosquitoes. "He will get angry when he sees him. If you don't have the strength to cooperate with us in smuggling gold, you are going to eat shit." He Guang shrank his legs. He had experienced the cruelty of the world for the first time since he was a child. In order to scare him, the eight-faced Buddha cut a man's throat alive in front of him. It was so damn cruel. He just wants to go home now. If he could do it all over again, he wouldn't want to engage in boat gambling or gold smuggling. Wouldn't he live a good life as a rich second generation just to win? Opposite him, Old Man He listened to the busy tone on the phone and frowned. "Gold worth 500 million? 0.4 tons of gold? Old Man He is very good at mathematics and can figure out how much gold needs to be struck with just a little thought. The housekeeper will contact all the gold shops, and I will call the jewelry tycoons in Hong Kong, hoping to get some money together." Old Man He sighed and walked upstairs slowly. At this time, Li Qing also heard the news that He Guang was kidnapped. "Haha, this Old Man He, I have reminded him, but he still doesn't care. He deserves it." He Min patted Li Qing gently and said angrily, "After all, he is my dad, please respect him a little." Okay, Li Qing made an okay gesture. "With so much gold, I want to see if Old Man He can get it together." Although he didn't know the deadline given by the eight-faced Buddha to Old Man He, it would definitely not be long. The longer the time, the more trouble there would be. There is more than one drug lord in the Golden Triangle. He Min rolled his eyes at Li Qing and patted his vitals. "Hurry up and get up, Didn't you say that Xiao Ma would come to Hejiang today? Li Qing patted his head. He had been immersed in He-Min's gentleness for the past 2 days, letting her call him dad for 2 consecutive days, but he forgot about the business. When I returned to Hong Kong last week, Xiao Ma was in Southeast Asia doing business with clients, and we hadn't met yet. This time, Xiao Ma rushed back to see me as soon as he came back. It seemed that there was something important. 2 hours later, in the chairman's office of the New World Casino Group in Hejiang. Xiao Ma, long time no see, how come you have lost so much weight? Li Qing frowned and glanced at Xiao Ma. Brother, business has been bad recently. The United States has come up with anti-counterfeiting technology for us dollars, and our counterfeit banknote transactions have been greatly reduced. The main reason is that the electric board is outdated. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 247. Brother, the latest version of US banknotes has been redesigned with anti-counterfeiting markings. The electrical panel could no longer be used before. Xiao Ma took out the latest version of the US dollar bill and explained it to Li Qing in detail. Anti-counterfeiting paper has been changed, made of special fibers, and fine red and blue fibers are mixed into the paper. The microtext security line has been changed. A security line with microtext is embedded on the left side of the Federal Reserve Bank's seal. The words USA 100 appear multiple times along the vertical direction of the surface from top to bottom on the security line. The most important point is to add the same watermark as the portrait on the note. The same watermark as the portrait on the front can be seen in the banknote on the right side of the note. Li Qing frowned. How similar are the counterfeit banknotes made with our current methods to the new US dollar banknotes? Less than 50%. Less than 50%, this kind of counterfeit banknotes look fake at first glance and cannot be sold at all. The new banknotes have not yet been released. When the new banknotes are fully rolled out, their own counterfeit banknotes will definitely be eliminated, and in the counterfeit banknote trade, US banknotes account for the majority. Then we lack our own creative team. The counterfeit banknote business that Xiao Ma is responsible for usually comes from multinational counterfeiting teams. It can only be regarded as a second-rate dealer. He has no source of technology and is very controlled by others. Then form your own team. Li Qing said in a deep voice. He knows what is most important in the 21st century. It's talent. It's just that a counterfeiting expert I recruited recently was kidnapped. Xiao Ma looked hesitant, but still told the truth. Huh? In Xiangjiang. When Li Qing heard this, he couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. He didn't believe that anyone in Xiangjiang would dare to kidnap people from the New World. That's not true. She was kidnapped in Thailand. I went to Thailand to discuss business a few days ago just to rescue her. Pony said softly. This time I went to Thailand and found several local gang bosses who had good relations with the New World. But they all said there was nothing they could do because the person had already been taken to the Golden Triangle. Who is it? General Nake, the warlord of the Golden Triangle. Oh? The Golden Triangle again? Nake. A drug dealer. Li Qing picked up the cigarette on the table, lit it and started smoking. Well, as the business grows, it is inevitable that there will be many development intentions, Xiao Ma said solemnly. Li Qing had heard about this Nai Gui. It was considered a relatively large warlord among the various warlords in the Golden Triangle, and he had several militia groups following him to make a living. Haha, a person from a remote area still wants to engage in high technology. Can he get a gravure printing machine? Li Qing shook his head and said that these people were crazy. If counterfeit money could be made by just one person, how could he make so much money? Thank God for not printing counterfeit banknotes as ghost banknotes. Spread the word and ask Nake to release him. It just so happens that AO and the others are here. If they really don't want to release him, we will rescue him ourselves. Li Qing said nonchalantly. He has a good relationship with General Apong on the Thai border and is a long-term partner in arms. He does not take these small warlords very seriously. Xiao Ma smiled and nodded. It took him a long time to find the counterfeit banknote expert named Wu Ziyuking. After Xiao Ma walked out of the door, Li Qing smiled and said, "It's the golden triangle again. I don't know how old his gold is doing." "What, still halfway?" "I had already gone to some jewelry giants to buy some, but I didn't expect that there was still a lot left." "But you can't blame them. After all, if they own a gold shop, they can't give you all their inventory to save people. It will affect their business." "Master, why don't you borrow some from your uncle?" the housekeeper said hesitantly. "If I don't go, how can I bow to him? I'm dreaming." Old man, he gritted his teeth angrily. Even if he died or jumped off the cliff, he would not beg Li Qing. When Da Fang saw the expression on old he's face, he frowned and said, "Poor Ah Guang, I am only a son, and my mother is powerless and cannot save you." Old man, he looked up at the ceiling, rubbed his temples. "Stop howling, I'm going to fight, can't I fight?" Old man, he reluctantly dialed Li Qing's phone number. "Hey, who's there?" Li Qing picked up the phone and looked at the number. Look familiar." "It's me." Old man, he replied reluctantly. Li Qing recognized old man he on the other side and raised his eyebrows, instantly knowing the purpose of his call. "I'm afraid it's about his careless young master." "Oh? It's really rare for the sun to shine in the western mountains." "What?" "Mister, he wants to see me for something." Li Qing sat on the boss's chair with his legs crossed and said with a teasing smile, "Now, I know you have a batch of gold. Don't say I don't take care of you. I'll take half of the premium." "Old man," he said in a deep voice. Li Qing, who was opposite, almost burst into laughter when he heard this. Now it has spread among the upper echelons of Xiangjiang that old man he is collecting gold to save He Guang, and he is getting it at a 20% premium. But many people still don't want to take action. After all, gold is different from other things. This thing really preserves its value, and the international gold price is also improving. Only fools take action. "Oh, keep the money, I won't sell the gold." Li Qingping said, "It doesn't matter, even if the gold is gathering dust in the warehouse, he will definitely make a profit without losing anything. 20%, no more." "Cut." Li Qing hung up the phone without hesitation. The profiteer wanted to take advantage of the information gap to steal his gold. Old man, he was so angry when he heard the busy tone. This guy asked for leftovers from him a few years ago, but now he hung up on him. After all, he was his future Taishan. He called several times in a row, but Li Qing hung up. Old man, he had no choice but to ask his daughter to save the country in a roundabout way. After a lot of discussion, he paid a 40% premium to collect the required gold. But old man he's anger would not be relieved for a while, so he had to wait for He Guang to come out and give him a small steel whip. Eight-faced Buddha also received the news. "Dad, the gold on the other side is ready." Shali was happy and told Eight-faced Buddha. "Okay, the transaction location is set at the Myanmar border, where I can attack and defend, and even if the other side retaliates, they can't find our base for a while. The time is set at noon the day after tomorrow." Eight-faced Buddha clapped his hands. The loss of gold in the past few days has caused his subordinates to be unstable. You have to know that the Golden Triangle drug lords are changing very quickly. If the capital chain is broken, the plantations under their command will be swept away in an instant. At this time, He Guang was squatting in a house not far away, staring at the roof with lifeless eyes. His clothes were dirty, and he didn't look like a rich young man at all. His hands would scratch the itchy bumps on his body from time to time. He hadn't slept well for 4 days, and he felt that there were mosquitoes buzzing everywhere. Now he no longer wanted to be the next Li Cheng. His biggest hope was to find a bed with a mosquito net to sleep well. He just hoped that his family would quickly bring money to redeem him. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 248. At the border between Thailand and Myanmar, Naike watched Wu Ziyuking carefully drawing an enlarged version of the US dollar. Secretary General, did you meet the painter last time in Hong Kong? How about their new version of the counterfeit US dollar? Naike asked the Secretary General standing behind him. General, the painter team is really amazing. The new version of the US dollar has no problem except for the gravure printing and ink. The Secretary General replied respectfully. Naike did not speak. As the saying goes, it is better to teach a man how to fish than to give him fish. His current idea is to coax the painter team to the Golden Triangle. At least set up his own counterfeit banknote team, so that there will be a steady stream of counterfeit banknotes. A soldier pushed open the door and hurriedly whispered a few words to the Secretary General. The Secretary General waved his hand and asked the soldier to withdraw. What's the matter? Naike watched Wu Ziyuking painting carefully and asked without looking back. General. The Secretary General looked at Wu Ziyuking. Naike said impatiently, tell me, what are you afraid of in your own territory? New World in Hong Kong sent a letter saying that Wu Ziyuking is their person and asked us to release her. The Secretary General lowered his head and said cautiously. Wu Ziyuking's ears immediately stood up, and she felt that she seemed to be saved, as long as the company did not give up on her. Naike frowned, glanced at Wu Ziyuking, and then at the Secretary General. You are from New World? Wu Ziyuking looked at Naike timidly and nodded. So what about New World? This is the Golden Triangle. Naike said contemptuously. He also guessed about Wu Ziyuking's origins, and many local Thai gangs had inquired about her. But Naike was still fearless. This is the Golden Triangle. No matter how powerful Li Cheng is, can he come to the Golden Triangle to save people? Compared with the army, the gangs are just children playing house. Right back to New World. If you want people, let Li Cheng come in person. Naike said arrogantly. General. The Secretary General looked a little ugly. Unlike Naike, who stayed at the base, he often ran around outside. He had heard of the name of New World more than once or twice. Li Cheng was very powerful. Famous gangs in Southeast Asia, such as Thailand, Vietnam, Laos, Malaysia, etc., gave him face. This time Naike caught someone from New World. If he didn't let him go, New World would definitely not let it go. Huh? What? Do you have any objections? Naike stared at the Secretary General fiercely. The Secretary General shook his head repeatedly, indicating that he didn't. Wu Ziyuking's heart also sank to the bottom. New World didn't deter Naike, and the chance of her going back was not great. She saw people being killed every day in the camp. Killing a person here was easier than killing a chicken. Naike's words soon reached Li Cheng's ears. Haha, good, it's worthy of being the Golden Triangle. No one takes me, Li Cheng, seriously. Li Cheng said calmly, with a fierce light flashing in his eyes. It seems that the name of New World is still not loud enough. Dongziu, inform AAO that we are going to Thailand. By the way, tell Naike that I will go there tomorrow. I want to see how arrogant this so-called General Naike is. Li Cheng said in a deep voice. Zhang Dongziu nodded and immediately went out to inform Chiu Gongao and others. The next day, Li Cheng brought Zhang Dongziu, Crow, AAO, and others to Thailand. Haha, brother Li, I am so happy that you can come. I haven't thanked you for your help last time. General Ai Peng hugged Li Cheng. If it weren't for Li Cheng's large amount of arms, he would have been squeezed out of office long ago. Thanks to Li Qing's help, he not only gained a firm foothold in the military, but also was promoted to a higher level. Now he is a major general in charge of the Thai-Myanmar border. General Ai Peng, you are polite. Friends, of course, help each other. Li Qing also shook Ai Peng's hand vigorously. By the way, Brother Li, do you really not need me to send troops? Ai Peng asked in confusion. Yesterday, Li Qing contacted him and asked him to help prepare some arms. He knew that Li Qing might have some action in the Golden Triangle. After all, many people knew that the people in the New World were kidnapped, and some people were even watching and wanted to see if the New World was really so domineering. No, General Ai Peng doesn't need to show up for such a small matter. This time, Li Qing came here to kill people, and he didn't want to involve the Thai military. Okay, be sure to contact me if you need anything. Ai Peng said solemnly. Li Qing smiled and nodded. Ai Peng's military vehicle took Li Qing and others to a mysterious warehouse. Brother Li Qing, these 2 armed helicopters were arranged according to your requirements. There are sufficient weapons and ammunition on them, and the military logos have been painted clean. The guide is a local in the Golden Triangle who knows Chinese. Ai Peng pointed to the 2 helicopters. These 2 armed helicopters were rented by Li Qing. After all, he got them from the army. After using them, he painted the original logos on them, and no one could tell. Besides, the military wouldn't say anything if they knew about it. After all, New World basically monopolized the underground arms trade in Southeast Asia. Many countries are secretly trading with New World. After all, they are cheap, durable, and much better than American products. Li Qing stepped forward and patted the hatch machine gun, looking at the ample bullets in the cabin, and nodded with satisfaction. Low-altitude killer, hatch machine gun, killing people is as easy as mowing the grass. Let's go, let's see how much this so-called General Naike weighs. Li Xin walked onto the helicopter with a smile and said goodbye to Ai Peng. Ao and Gongzi each drove an armed helicopter and headed for the military base in Nakai under the guidance of local guides. On the way, everyone chatted with local guides and learned that there were dozens of armed forces, large and small, in the Golden Triangle. Even though Nakai was called a general, he actually only had the strength of several militia groups, adding up to only 2 battalions of people, and they were distributed in different villages. The Nakai base only has 1 battalion at most, and it has no heavy weapons. Everyone laughed when they heard this. They didn't know where this Nakai got the courage to challenge the New World. Did he think that he was in the Golden Triangle and the New World couldn't touch him? On the other side, Nakai was sitting in the pavilion drinking tea, watching the patrolling soldiers coming and going, and said with a smile, "I don't believe it. Li Qing dares to come. If he dares to come, I will tell him to leave and never return." Since receiving the news that Li Qing was coming, he had increased his troops, fearing a sudden attack in the New World. It seemed that he had a high opinion of Li Qing. New World? This is the Golden Triangle. It won't work for anyone who comes. Nakai said to the Secretary General with a smile. The Secretary General followed Nakai with a perfunctory smile. My general is mentally retarded, but he is not mentally retarded. The New World is famous for retribution. They don't care where you are. They can dig you out even in the tropical rainforest of South America. General, it's better to dissolve enemies than to make enemies. I think. Shut up, how can I stay in the Golden Triangle? I just rely on being ruthless, and you want me to bow my head. Nakai scolded the Secretary General. Buzz buzz. There was a buzz in the distance, mixed with the sound of a tractor. The 2 stopped talking and looked at the horizon in the distance. I'm knocking on the helicopter gunship. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 249. The two were horrified and ran towards the bunker. Naike shouted to the soldiers while running, "Hurry, prepare the rockets." But it was too late. Ao and Gongzi on the helicopter had already pressed the button of the machine gun. Explosions rang out in the Naike base, and it instantly became a sea of fire. The soldiers shouted and fled like headless flies, and those who didn't have time to run were directly blown to pieces. In the helicopter, Zhang Dongzhou set up a door machine gun and kept harvesting the soldiers on the ground. The soldiers fell down like wheat. Some people were even cut in half by the machine gun. Crow took out a grenade from the box, opened the pull ring, and threw it down like money. Others also picked up their guns and aimed at the fish that had escaped the net on the ground. "Brother, can that counterfeit expert survive under such fierce firepower?" Crow threw another grenade and turned around to ask. Li Qing said indifferently, "If she wasn't so unlucky, she should have survived. If she was hit by a bullet, she would have had bad luck." The main purpose of the attack on Naike was to make an example of others. Since they felt that New World was not well known in the Golden Triangle, it was a good opportunity to show them. As for Wu Ziyuqing, it would be best if she could be rescued, but there was nothing she could do if she couldn't. Naike and the Secretary General, who were running around on the ground, quickly hid under a complete house. Most houses in the Golden Triangle are made of bamboo and wood. There are many pillars and piles under the houses to prevent snakes, insects, rats and ants. Li Qing, so cruel, just send a helicopter directly. Nichai looked at the soldiers who kept dying with pain. These were trained with real money. I didn't expect them to die so easily here. To be honest, he now has a little regret in his heart. The Secretary General kept looking around, and he was really complaining about Naike in his heart. "Damn, I told you to show off, but they came directly, what are you going to do?" "Secretary General, go to the room in front and get the rockets and shoot him down." Nichai looked at the helicopter circling in the sky angrily. He believed that as long as he had the rockets in his hand, he would be able to shoot Li Qing down. Now his soldiers are leaderless and have all run away. They can't organize an effective counterattack at all. "Okay, General Naike." The Secretary General paused and ran outside. You ran in the wrong direction. The arsenal is over there." "Damn it, I'm going to shoot you." Nichai looked at the Secretary General running in the opposite direction and cursed angrily. The Secretary General paid attention to the two helicopters in the sky and rolled his eyes. Deep well eyes? No one would go there. The helicopter that had been circling in the sky for a long time was constantly searching for the fish that had escaped the net in the base. "Brother Ao, our group will go down and take a look first." The son called Chiu Gong Ao on the intercom. "Go ahead, be careful. If anyone shoots you from behind, immediately climb up and shoot him again." Ao instructed on the intercom. Young Master slowly landed on an open space. The air was filled with the smell of gunpowder. Some soldiers who were not dead yet kept wailing and groaning. Bezu made a gesture, and several younger brothers quickly rushed out of the helicopter, holding guns back to back and guarding the surroundings. Young Master and others put on bulletproof helmets and jumped out of the cabin. 3 teams in a team of 3 people kept searching around. Soon, sporadic gunshots rang out, and the fish hiding in the dark were completely cleared. "Brother Ao, it's safe." Young Master stretched out his hand and clenched his fist. Ao nodded in the air, turned his head and said, "Brother, it's safe down there." "Okay, find a place to land, let the guide take Young Master to search carefully, leaving no one behind, and by the way, see if Naike is dead." Li Qing said in a deep voice. "The people here have learned some guerrilla warfare in their hometown, so they have to be on guard, otherwise a group of people will appear from nowhere and blow up the helicopter, and that's it. Fortunately, the only threat to helicopters is rockets, which have no accuracy without thermal tracking. In fact, what helicopters fear most is not tracking weapons, but ground-to-air graphite bombs, which are electricity killers. Within a certain range, the helicopter's instruments can fail and crash directly. The second helicopter landed on the other side, and Li Qing and others got off the plane. Ao, Zhang Dongxiu, Crow, and others looked around vigilantly with guns, fearing that a bullet would come from somewhere and hit their big brother. Let's go, find out if the counterfeit expert is still alive. A group of people responded and searched over, and shot the injured soldiers on the ground. Crow looked at the soldiers who were rolling and wailing on the ground, shook his head, "It's so miserable, forget it, help you get rid of it." Bang bang, the sound of additional shots continued to ring. The Secretary General, who was lying not far away, shuddered when he heard the gunshot. He didn't feel anything when someone else was shot before, but now that it was about him, he felt an extreme fear. "Hey, do you want to come out by yourself, or do you want me to shoot you?" The fully armed young man leaned against the pillar, took off his silver-gray sunglasses and looked at the Secretary General lying on the ground. The Secretary General was shocked when he heard the sound, slowly raised his head, and showed a smile that was uglier than crying. Don't shoot, I'll come out by myself." The young man saw that this man was dressed differently from the other dead soldiers, and he thought he might have some status, and his elder brother might need it. Li Qing led people to the intact pavilion and touched the tea on the table. It's warm. It seems that Naoki must have been in the base just now. Brother, I caught an official." The young master pushed the Secretary General to the pavilion. Li Qing sat on the chair, and the young master immediately kicked the Secretary General in the knee, and the Secretary General knelt down in pain. "Oh? Are you Naoki?" Li Qing didn't know Naoki either. The Secretary General waved his hands repeatedly. "No, I'm not Naoki." "Damn, Naoki, that bastard, pretending to be so arrogant." The New World directly cut along the telephone line. "Who are you?" "My name is Mishya Zhang, nicknamed Secretary General, and I am Naoki's deputy." When Crow and others heard it, they almost burst out laughing. "Damn, the name is old-fashioned, but the nickname is good," Crow teased. Li Qing also smiled. "Oh? Where is Naoki? Ran away." "If Naoki, this bastard, really ran away, it would be really hard to find in this jungle, and deterrence would not have the greatest effect." "I know, Naoki is lying there." The Secretary General pointed to the bottom of a house not far away and shouted. Li Qing and the others narrowed their eyes, obviously not seeing it. "Young master, take people over to have a look." Young master responded, and took people to carefully touch over. At this time, Naoki was very scared, and carefully pulled a few grasses around and put them on himself to cover himself. The effect of the cover was good. Young master and others walked to the front of the house and found the clues. 222. Young master swept a volley of bullets over. "Don't shoot, I'm coming out." Nai Chai knew that he had been discovered, and the bachelor threw away the pistol, stood up and shouted loudly. "Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all." Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 250. Nai Chai tidied the grass hanging on his clothes. He was a general after all, and he couldn't lose face. The young master didn't bother to be polite with him. He grabbed his collar and dragged Naoki towards the pavilion. "Brother, the person has been caught." Naoki tidied the wrinkles on his clothes and looked at the Secretary General kneeling on the ground with disdain. Li Qing looked at Naoki with interest. He was of medium height, with dark skin and a little thin. At first glance, he looked quite generous. "You are Naoki." Naoki didn't say anything, but felt that things are unpredictable. Half an hour ago, he was sitting in the pavilion drinking tea, but he didn't expect to become a prisoner now. Boss Lee, let's not beat around the bush. I admit defeat this time. Naoki was also open and admitted it directly. Li Qing smiled and lit Naoki's knee with the cigarette in his hand. Zhang Dongzhou stepped forward and kicked Naoki in the abdomen. Naoki fell to the ground in pain. The Secretary General, who was kneeling on the ground, smacked his lips when he saw this scene. He didn't expect that the vicious Naoki would have this day. A gentleman can be killed, but not humiliated. Li Qing, don't go too far. Naoki roared. Naoki, don't set up a persona. Is it time to show off now? The Secretary General muttered softly. Naoki heard it and glared at the Secretary General fiercely. Boss Lee, there is actually nothing wrong between us. I have bought weapons from New World. Naoki changed his tone and said softly. Li Qing looked at him calmly without saying a word. Why do so many people in Southeast Asia give face to Li Qing? Because here, anyone with a gun is a grassroots king. As a big arms dealer, Li Qing is very important to these small warlords, but Naoki's own brain is confused. Of course, if you have a huge power and can afford high-priced American goods, you don't have to care about Li Qing. Naoki actually misjudged New World. He thought New World did not have the strength to intervene in the Golden Triangle. In fact, it is not that New World has no strength, but it really does not want to be directly involved with these drug dealers. Even the arms sold to them are sold to Thai gangs. As for whether the gangs sell to the warlords in the Golden Triangle, it has nothing to do with New World. But when it comes to not selling to anyone, New World is definitely effective. The purpose of this attack on Naoki is also to deter restless people, so that people will not underestimate New World. If people from New World are kidnapped every other day, how can the organization develop? What prestige can it have? Brother, Wu Ziyuqing is here. Li Qing glanced at Wu Ziyuqing, who was standing timidly next to Ao. Wu Ziyuqing now has a dirty face, and wears a white shirt that has become a little black on his upper body. He can't see anything in his black pants. I'm so cold inside, you actually abuse our people from New World like this. Crow was so angry that he stepped forward and slapped Naoki in the face. How is it? Are you okay? Li Qing asked Wu Ziyuqing with a smile. Wu Ziyuqing looked at her body and smelled a faint smell of sourness. Her face flushed with shame and she quickly stepped back. It's okay. These days, Naoki just asked me to draw us dollars and didn't do anything else. Wu Ziyuqing said in a low voice. Li Qing nodded. It seems that Naoki still has some sense of propriety. Yes, Boss Li, we are just celebrating a small festival. Naoki was not reserved. He saw the hope of life. Well, it's okay. Leave him a whole body. Boss Li, you can't do this, Naoki's face changed drastically when he heard it. Now he regretted his pretentious behavior. The young master behind him took out a pistol that had been loaded long ago and shot Naoki in the back of the head. This evil drug lord died quietly like this. The Secretary General was so scared that he was shaking, fearing that the young master would shoot him again. Li Qing looked at the Secretary General with a smile. Don't be afraid, I won't kill you. Keeping this Secretary General is just right to spread this matter, otherwise how will the people in the Golden Triangle know how Naoki died? Come, introduce it to me. Why do you think you have the ability to make counterfeit money? Li Qing felt strange. A drug lord actually wanted to make counterfeit money that had nothing to do with his original business. There must be something that influenced him. The Secretary General did not hesitate, and a look of joy appeared on his face. He knew that his life was saved. He lowered his head and organized his words. In fact, the reason why Naoki wanted to make counterfeit money was because he knocked down a batch of acid-free paper, which is the paper used for the latest version of US dollars. The ratio of red and blue fibers in it is very similar to that of US dollars. Li Qing looked at Naoke's body on the ground in surprise. He didn't expect that this person could still get good stuff. Thinking again, the best use of this kind of paper is to cooperate with the counterfeit money group. Naoke died because of greed. Li Qing shook his head, "Let's go and take me to see." After hearing this, the Secretary General immediately led the way in front. Fortunately, the helicopter did not straf the warehouse, otherwise this huge fortune would have been destroyed. Opening the door of the warehouse, I saw rolls of acid-free paper well preserved, and special moisture-proof measures were taken. "How much are these?" "About 50 tons. Li Qing nodded, "It's okay, it will be fine for 1 or 2 years. Ship this batch of paper to the Myanmar-Thailand border for me, is it okay?" Li Qing smiled and patted the Secretary General's shoulder. "Boss Li, don't worry, it's okay." The Secretary General was happy, thinking that Naoke's death this time was a good thing for him. Now that Naoke is dead, he can take the position legitimately, plus the close relationship with this arms tycoon. Is he afraid that he can no longer gain a foothold in the Golden Triangle? Li Qing nodded with satisfaction and walked out of the warehouse. He passed by a few wooden stakes by chance, under which lay several corpses, obviously not Naoke's men. "Who are they?" Li Qing asked casually. The Secretary General took a look and said respectfully, "Oh, those are undercover agents, executed by Naoke." Li Qing frowned and said gloomily, "Where are they from?" The Secretary General looked at him cautiously, "Thai, Vietnamese, Hong Kong." "Huh?" Li Qing's long tone startled the Secretary General. Li Qing stared at him coldly, and a thin layer of cold sweat suddenly appeared on his forehead. "From now on, anyone who can speak Chinese will be released." Li Qing said coldly. Yes, I will definitely do it." He didn't know what touched Li Qing's nerves, but he decided that if he met an undercover agent who was in charge of Dong Huayu in the future, he would definitely let him go, spare his life, and send him to the border. Li Qing rubbed his teeth and felt that the decision to kill Naoke just now was hasty. He should be made into a human pig and slowly die in the sun. It seems too late now. "Hey, chop Naoke into pieces and feed him to the dogs," Li Qing said to the Secretary General. The Secretary General nodded quickly, but he was a little scared when facing Li Qing. This man was too cruel and would not let go of the dead. With the Secretary General's respectful farewell, the 2 armed helicopters flew towards the distance. The Secretary General looked at Naoke's body not far away. "No, we have to root out the grass, Naoke has 2 illegitimate children." At this time, on the helicopter, Crow asked curiously, "Brother, why do you want to keep the Secretary General? You can't kill all the drug lords. As long as the Golden Triangle exists, the drug lords here will never be solved. It's better to keep him. Maybe he can be used in the future when sending a message or something."